Welcome, deep divers. Today, we're getting into something truly basic, something we do constantly but maybe don't think about enough, our breath.
It's always there, isn't it?
Exactly, and we're
Right.
diving deep into some really powerful ideas from Terence Hughes' upcoming book, The Invisible Inury, specifically an extract called The Forgotten Art of Integrated Breathing.
Fascinating title.
It really is. Our mission today is to sort of unpack how we, well, collectively, seem to have forgotten how to breathe naturally. Why did that happen? And, what's the real cost?
Yeah.
And this isn't about learning complicated new tricks, really.
Wow.
It's more about rediscovering something we already have inside us, something we knew right from the start.
Getting back to basics.
Right. So, here's a thought to kick us off. What if the way you're breathing right now is silently shaping everything from your physical health to how you feel emotionally, and you don't even know it?
That's the core of it, isn't it? What's really striking is how something so apparently simple, like breathing, can point to this deep disconnection in modern life. But it also holds the key, potentially, to getting back some balance. We think we know our bodies, but Hughes's work really challenges that. It makes you look again.
It really does. It's kind of funny, but if you ask most people, hey, how do you breathe? They often just stop.
Yeah, they look puzzled.
Totally puzzled. It's like, what do you mean, how do I breathe? It shows this massive gap, this disconnect from something so vital.
It does, because honestly, you were born breathing perfectly. Anyone who's watched a sleeping baby knows this.
Oh, yeah, that little belly rising and falling.
Exactly. The belly moves rhythmically, the chest is pretty still. That's it. That's our original breath, you could say, our birthright.
No lessons needed.
None at all. It's just
See?
nature's design, the diaphragm doing its job instinctively.
So, okay, born perfect breathers.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? Where does it go wrong for so many of us adults? How do we lose that?
Well, it's largely down to what Hughes calls cultural conditioning. It's learned behavior, mostly. Chest breathing isn't really our default state.
Learned. How so?
He points to a few things. One is this idea of the armor of civilization. Think about all the subtle messages we get growing up. Stand up straight. Suck in your stomach. Don't look scared. We learn kind of subconsciously that letting our belly be soft and expand is vulnerable, weak.
Right, like you need to present this hard front.
Precisely. So we start breathing smaller, shallower, holding ourselves in, literally taking up less space, protecting that soft center.
Wow. I just thought of it quite like that.
And then there's the posture of conformity. Schools, offices, society expects a certain look. Chest out, shoulders back, stomach held tight.
A proper posture.
Yeah, but that proper posture can actually act like a breathing cage. It physically restricts the diaphragm's natural movement.
So looking good actually stops us breathing well.
In many cases, yes. It puts
Yeah.
the brakes on. And then there's stress. Hughes calls it stress as teacher.
How does that fit in?
Well, think about fight or flight. When you're stressed or scared, your breathing naturally gets faster, higher up in the chest, ready for action.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in our world, with constant low-level stress deadlines, traffic, notifications, that emergency breathing can become our everyday habit, our default.
So we're stuck in alarm mode.
Kind of, yeah. A low-grade chronic alarm. We forget how to breathe peacefully because we're rarely in a peaceful state. And finally, there's an emotional piece. The emotional lockdown.
What does that mean?
Deep belly breathing connects you more to your feelings, your gut instincts. Chest breathing, on the other hand, helps you stay more in your head, disconnected.
A way to not feel too much.
Exactly. And in a culture that often values thinking over feeling, that disconnection can feel safer, even get rewarded sometimes.
Gosh, it's like we're subtly trained away from our own body's wisdom at the cost of that. It must be huge.
It accumulates.
So, okay, if this is so fundamental, why isn't integrated breathing taught? Why do we learn about muscles and bones, but not how they work with breath?
That's a great question. One big reason is what Hughes calls the compartmentalization of human function. Education treats the body in bits and pieces, right?
Yeah, biology class here, PE there.
Exactly. Biology, PE, sports, they're often separate silos. We learn isolated exercises, maybe some anatomy, but not how breath integrates with every single movement, every single day.
Which leads to that myth of separation you mentioned.
Precisely. The weird idea that breathing and moving are separate tasks. We tell people to exercise, then maybe add, oh, and remember to breathe as an afterthought.
But they're not separate at all.
Not remotely. Every single move you make, either helps or hinders your breathing. And every breath influences your movement, your stability, your power. It's a constant interplay.
Even just sitting at a desk or carrying groceries.
Absolutely all of it.
Yeah.
And then there's maybe a fear of natural function.
Here.
Well, our culture loves control, metrics, tests. Natural integrated breathing is organic, individual, responsive. It's hard to standardize or grade. How do you test allowing?
Right. It doesn't fit neatly into a curriculum box.
Not easily.
And then when we do try to fix our breathing, we end up in this confusing marketplace of breathing
Oh, absolutely.
with all these different methods thrown at us. Box breathing, Wim Hof, 4-7-8, alternate nostril, this, that. It gets overwhelming.
It turns something simple into something complex, requiring techniques and counting. This creates what Hughes calls the tyranny of technique.
Tyranny of technique.
Yeah, the focus shifts to controlling the breath, manipulating it from the mind, rather than allowing its natural intelligence to emerge. Think back to the baby, no counting, no activating specific muscles, just perfect, effortless breathing.
So these techniques can actually take us further away.
They can, if they distract from rediscovering the natural integrated function. It leads to the lost art of integrated movement. Athletes, dancers, everyday people, exercising, working, moving, but without that fundamental breath-movement connection.
And it's not just about getting oxygen in, is it? You mentioned timing and rhythm.
Exactly. That's crucial. It's about flow. When it's working right, the diaphragm and breath provide the underlying rhythm for movement. The exhale naturally supports the effort, the squeeze.
Like lifting something heavy.
Right. And the inhale creates space, expansion, prepares for the next move. The pauses offer balance. It guides the whole thing.
We've totally lost that sense of breath-guiding movement.
Largely, yes. And the hidden costs of staying in that shallow chest breathing pattern are really significant. Physically, the diaphragm is also a key core stabilizer.
Ah, okay.
So if it's not working properly through breath, your core stability is likely compromised. This can lead to back pain, neck and shoulder tension, reduced athletic ability, even lower lung capacity over time. It's like trying to operate with the handbrake half on.
And mentally, emotionally.
Well, like we said, shallow breathing keeps you in that subtle fight or flight. More anxious, more reactive, stuck in your head. Deep diaphragmatic breathing, conversely, is the fastest way to tap into your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state.
So it can shift your state pretty quickly.
In minutes, sometimes seconds. Just changing how you breathe sends a powerful signal to your entire nervous system. Calm down, you're safe.
Okay, you mentioned core stability being undermined, but what about all the core stability exercises people do? Planks, crunches, surely they help.
This is a huge point in Hughes's work. He calls it the core stability delusion.
Delusion. That sounds strong.
It is, because the way it's often taught can actually divorce breathing from movement even more. It can create what he calls the breathing movement divorce.
Wow.
Think about it. How are people often told to do a plank or a heavy lift? Brace your core, tighten everything. Often, this involves holding your breath or breathing very shallowly while maintaining tension.
All right, you tense up.
Exactly. You end up with people who can hold a rock-solid plank while barely breathing, but they can't breathe naturally and dynamically while just walking or lifting groceries.
So the exercises lock things down.
They often teach diaphragm lockdown. You're essentially training your diaphragm not to move freely during effort. It becomes an integration destroyer, reinforcing the very disconnect we're talking about.
That's ironic, isn't it? Trying to get stable, but actually disrupting the body's natural integration.
Deeply ironic. People are chasing stability while potentially damaging the foundation it should be built on: integrated breath and movement.
So if learning techniques and even core work can be counterproductive, how do we get back? How do we rediscover this natural breath? You said it's about unlearning?
Exactly. It's simpler than learning something new. It's about removing the interference. The return to natural integration means letting the diaphragm do its job again.
Letting it lead.
Yes, letting it orchestrate breath and movement together automatically. When that happens, stability isn't something you rigidly hold. It emerges dynamically, moment by moment, with each breath cycle. Movement flows. Remember the diaphragm as a movement guide?
Exhale for effort. Inhale for space.
Right. Exhale supports engagement, contraction. Inhale creates expansion, readiness. Pauses bring stillness, balance. It's not about thinking, okay, now exhale. It's about feeling that natural rhythm and allowing it to guide you. Listening.
Okay, so for you listening right now, how does this translate into everyday life? Not just in the gym, but like right now.
Good question. First step. Forget isolated breathing exercises you do for 5 minutes, then stop thinking about. The key is everyday integration.
Like when you're just walking.
Perfect example. Just notice your breath as you walk. Don't try to force it into a pattern, just observe. Does it sync with your steps? How does it feel? Then expand that awareness. Daily activity integration.
Doing the dishes, making coffee.
Yeah, lifting the kettle, reaching for a mug, carrying laundry. How is your breath involved? Is it shallow, held, or flowing with the movement? Think of it like movement conversations, breath and movement talking to each other.
What about simple practices? Anything specific to try?
A few things. Try the diaphragm check-in a few times a day. Just pause and ask, where's my breath right now? No judgment, just awareness. Is it high or low? Then, movement and breath observation. When you reach up or bend down or turn, notice, does your breath help? Does it get stuck?
And asking that integration question.
Yes. Instead of, am I breathing correctly, ask, are my breathing and movement working together? It shifts focus from control to connection to synergy.
Okay, I can already anticipate some challenges people might run into. Like someone might say, I can't actually feel my diaphragm moving.
Very common. Gentle laughing helps. Or soft coughing. Even just making a soft ha-ha-ha sound from your belly can help you locate that deeper movement. It doesn't have to be dramatic.
What if it feels weird or uncomfortable when they try to breathe deeper?
Also normal. It can feel unfamiliar, even vulnerable, especially if you've been chest breathing for years. It might be a sign that old tension patterns are starting to release. Just start small. A minute or two of awareness here and there. Be gentle.
And the classic, I just forget.
Link it to something you already do. Check your breath every time you check your phone, or before you eat, or when you get in the car. Anchor the awareness to an existing habit.
What about knowing when to use that recovery breathing you mentioned earlier?
Well, anytime you notice you're breathing shallowly or feel a bit breathless after any kind of effort, climbing stairs, carrying heavy bags, even after a tense meeting or difficult conversation, just take a few slower, deeper breaths, letting your belly soften and expand. It helps reset your nervous system.
Some people might worry about hyperventilating if they breathe too deeply.
That's usually about forced, rapid breathing. This integrated approach is about accessing your full capacity when needed, matching breath to demand, not about forcing air in and out constantly. It's about efficiency and responsiveness.
And if someone is currently injured, they might think, should I be focusing on this now?
Absolutely. Hughes emphasizes its crucial role in injury recovery. Gentle, integrated breathing helps prevent protective tension, improves circulation to the area, calms the nervous system, which is vital for healing, and maintains mobility. It's foundational.
So the ripple effects go way beyond just feeling calmer or better at sports.
Oh, far beyond, physically. Better performance, yes, but also faster recovery from exertion, less overall fatigue, better handling of physical stress, mentally and emotionally, less anxiety, more resilience, better focus, improved emotional regulation. It impacts your whole life performance.
Presentations, difficult conversations, just having more energy.
Exactly. And in rehabilitation, it's potentially revolutionary. Faster healing, yes. But crucially, preventing those chronic compensations, the weird movement patterns or breath holding that stick around long after the injury should have healed, leading to more complete functional recovery.
It really reframes rehabilitation, doesn't it? It's not just fixing the broken bit, it's restoring the whole system's function.
Precisely. The biggest mistake in recovery is often treating the injury in isolation. An injury impacts everything: how you move, how you hold yourself, how you breathe, your stress levels. Strategic, integrated breathing addresses the whole picture. It helps deliver oxygen, clear waste products via the lymphatic system, regulates the nervous system towards healing, and keeps surrounding tissues mobile.
So it's about healing the whole person, not just the part. This feels like more than just breathing techniques. It's a different way of being in your body.
It is. Ultimately, the vision Hughes puts forward is about creating a breathing culture.
A breathing culture.
Yeah, where strategic breathing isn't some niche practice, but normalized. Where we challenge the cultural habits that make us breathe small. Where integrated breath and movement become a foundation taught early on. A new paradigm for health, performance, and recovery. Imagine kids growing up understanding this instinctively.
That's a powerful thought. A world breathing more fully.
It changes everything.
So every single breath you take offers a choice, doesn't it? You can stay in that shallow pattern, reinforcing stress and that feeling of disconnection, or You can choose to breathe more deeply, more consciously, cultivating calm, awareness, and vitality.
The choice is always there.
Your breath is always with you. It's this constant teacher, this anchor. Learning to work with it is such a radical yet incredibly practical skill.
It really is.
The journey just begins with one conscious breath right now. And then it may be another, and another after that, until breathing fully and freely isn't something you have to remember to do. It's just part of who you are.
Beautifully put.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the often invisible but vital world of your breath.